I was so worried there about what the obvious link was going to be. So, an entrepreneur with a lived experience of what they're selling is a unique and a special thing. But even more so, an entrepreneur who has kept at it, who has endured and persisted for nearly 10 years in getting this right, in making their passion a real thing. That's a big deal, entrepreneur. That's the kind of thing you want to invest in. But really importantly for this last pitch is the fact that this research that can be done by the University of Reading and the work with Henley Business School will allow this entrepreneur to make sure that vulnerable children all over the United Kingdom and eventually the world have the access to the right kind of education for them. Just imagine if every vulnerable child had that. So with a lived experience, I'm very proud to introduce someone who's a One Young World Ambassador, Sophie Maxwell.
Thank you, Kate. Hi, I'm Sophie Maxwell, and I'm the founder of the Really NEET Project. Having experienced domestic violence, homelessness and disadvantage throughout childhood and adolescence, an inspirational mentor motivated me to revisit my education. It showed me the power that a lived experience leader could have in the most challenging of circumstances and became the catalyst for change in my own life. My own isolation from education gave me the drive to support and empower other young people that had experienced similar barriers. I went from mentee to mentor, education dropout to education leader, a social case turned social fighter, my experiences forming the basis for all that followed. After graduating university back in 2009, I went on to set up the Really NEET Project, and I've seen the project grow from just me on my own teaching excluded students maths and English in a warehouse, going on to having 3 centres across South Yorkshire, employing 18 passionate and knowledgeable staff members, educating 160 of society's most vulnerable young people every year, turning over 500,000. The Really NEET Project works with young people that mainstream education simply hasn't worked for. And all of our learners have multiple complex barriers to access an education, which I can relate to through my own experiences. We have always worked under local authority contracts and realised in order to secure the future of Really NEET and ensure its continued impact, we would have to think outside the box about revenue streams. It was 2 years ago that I had the idea that has the potential to transform the way we educate learners that would otherwise struggle in a classroom setting, bringing education into the 21st century. Every year we take our learners through the dreaded exams process, and every year it feels like we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Our learners have low confidence and a fear of failure due to their previous experiences in an education system they feel heavily let down by. After all, have you heard the saying, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. These same learners, weeks later, engaged in an escape room where they had to escape in a fixed time limit, solving complicated maths puzzles in order to evade capture. It got me thinking, why did the students struggle so much with the sit-down exam, but thrived in another high-pressured environment that wasn't dissimilar to the exam concept? This revelation led me to developing Alternative Teach, an alternative educational resources platform which will provide instant access to inspirational lesson plans, schemes of work and assessments that engage the hardest to reach learners. For example, students could be immersed in a story they are studying in English, such as in Alice in Wonderland, and as they make their way through Alice's world, they must answer questions to progress. For example, how much potion would you have to drink in order to shrink to the size you can enter Wonderland? Developing English and math skills without students feeling under the pressure of a traditional lesson. The themes on which these lessons are created could be endless. We are also taking this idea one step further into the virtual world, a step that could revolutionise the educational experience of the next generation. And we are being supported by the global tech giant Accenture to do this, creating technology that could be easily integrated into the classroom, using the escape room concept to engage learners in an immersive experience. Imagine if learning maths and English could be done through cracking codes in our escape pod, allowing a practical and highly interactive way to learn. Well, through Alternative Teach, that will become a reality. Once we have fully developed the products, we'll be able to offer them directly to schools, colleges, specialist provision and individual teachers through a monthly subscription service that will enable them to download our resources instantly, buy their own escape pod and book bespoke training sessions with us. New resources will be in constant development. All the profits generated through Alternative Teach will be reinvested into Really NEET, enabling us to continue the crucial work we do to reduce the 744,000 NEETs we have in the UK today. Imagine if we had the backing of £75,000 worth of research to demonstrate the huge impact Alternative Teach could have on the current education system, tackling inequality and making education accessible to all. Imagine if the NHS gave every patient the same medication. The results could be fatal. So why do we still prescribe our children the same curriculum? Thank you.